And we are recording once again. Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Good morning, Fenton. How are you on this beautiful day, brother?
I'm doing great. I want to point out that my child is here. So we have a co-host today. I also want to point out that I'm wearing a green hat one more time, and I'm growing a beard. That's my disclaimer for this episode.
I love it. I love it, man. You can be chopping wood later.
That's it. We're chopping wood, man. All right. And now we can get into it. Welcome to Products of Circumstance, everyone. It's the podcast from Ken Skeen and myself, Fenton Joseph. We discuss mental health and mindset matters through the lens of Black men. We cover topics like family and relationship trauma, relationships with money, self-worth, positive thinking, gratefulness, and so much more. This show is unscripted, it's unfiltered, and mostly unedited. We choose our topics randomly. Only Ken knows what we're going to be talking about today, and he'll tell us in just a second. But first, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I love when you do that. And most importantly, if you get something out of this, please share it with somebody so they can get something out of it as well. All right, let's get into it. Ken, what are we talking about today, brother?
All right, today we'll talk about being mindful what you consume. That comes to, when it comes what you're listening to, what you're watching, who you speak with, what advice you take, and also what you put into your body, what you eat, what you drink, right. Things in that nature, because your body is your temple. I'm sure people have heard this saying before, and you have to be careful. So what you put in is what you're going to get out of it, right? Mm-hmm. So to start with the whole what you consume in the point of who you speak with, what you watch. I mean, a lot of people do use the internet for basically every part of every aspect of their life nowadays. I'm sure more people are on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook compared to watching TV. People just scrolling through their phones, even YouTube, people watching this YouTube channel. The whole thing of cable is becoming very ancient, and there's a lot of false information out there. There's a lot of just, instead of truth, it's more opinion is out there. So just be careful what you let into your soul, let into your temple. Right before we started, hitting the record button, we were just talking about, even we brought up the whole thing with pyramids. I know I'm going to press a few buttons for people out there, but it's, my family's from Central America. So we're from Belize, which is right below Mexico. I know a lot of people don't know where Belize is, but yes, you can drive to Belize. Right through Texas, right through Mexico. You're going to pass Cancun into the Belize border.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
I thought you had to get on a plane.
Yeah, you can get on a plane, which we do. Okay. Everyone thinks Belize is an island. No, there's islands off the coast that all the tourists go to. But yes, it's part of the mainland. Crazy. But yes, we were talking about the pyramids and how no one ever questions that these Aztecs and Mayans built pyramids. But when it comes to Egypt, God forbid a black person built the pyramid. It must have been aliens. Anyway, but just again, be careful what you consume.
There's a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah.
On a macro level, especially because you brought up the pyramids thing, and I think the zeitgeist, we're seeing a lot of really divided, opinions, and like really polarizing opinions and thoughts that are out there, and it's wreaking havoc like all over the world. Like there isn't much of a middle ground these days. So when it comes to the discussions that you have with your friends and family members and coworkers, like sometimes you got to be mindful of what you say and who you're saying it to, because you could end up sparking a pretty serious debate. People feel very strongly about things on both sides of the spectrum. So that's a result of what we've been consuming. You know what I'm saying? Some people watch one station, the other people watch a different station, or listen to this podcast or that one or this YouTube channel and so forth and so on. And I think, my goodness, man, if there's no better case study and like evidence that what you consume really influences your thinking and your behavior, then just looking at the world, just turn on the news. Well, That's funny. Which news?
Which one?
Regardless of what channel, you turn on, I think we can all acknowledge that people are really polarized these days. And that's something that you need to try to be mindful of in your own life. It's not helpful to be on one side or the other. Now let's take that, right? We're talking about like, maybe politics and society and stuff like that. But like as it relates to your own body, you don't want to be undernourished. You don't want to be obese. You want to find some type of middle ground in terms of what you consume, literally what you're putting into your body. It's okay to have, a hamburger every now and again if that's what you want to do. Or, like I try to cut back on the red meat a bit. Doesn't mean I won't enjoy a steak every now and again, right? I see this smile because you know what time it is when it comes to steak. Being mindful of reading labels. What's the point of having labels if you're not going to read them? To know what's going into your body. One way or the other. We're not here to tell anybody how to think about what they're consuming, but be mindful of it. When it comes to food, read the labels. When it comes to food, get educated on what's healthy and what's not so that you can make conscious decisions. I think it's really about being conscious of the fact that what you put into your body, what you put into your mind, what you let into your soul, into your ears, that these things do have an impact. And if you're mindful of that, I think as with most things in life, when you have the knowledge, it's pretty hard to avoid working with that knowledge in your day to day. If you like for instance, I love driving. So my lovely wife took me to Skip Barber Racing School up in Connecticut. Yes, it was awesome at Lime Rock Park. And I got to learn, a bit more about the physics of driving. And I'm not going to, get into like the nitty gritty, but I came out of there with some great information about how a car operates, okay, how to operate a vehicle. And I was more mindful of how I drove my car on the street. So I'm not on the racetrack when I go to 7-Eleven, but I can still be mindful and apply the info. Some people are on a racetrack when they go to 7-Eleven. I know that's why you're laughing. Like, slow down, buddy. By the way, did you hear that thing? It was like when somebody's speeding past you, you're like, say, slow down, speed racer. But when somebody's driving slow, you're like, come on, man, let's go. You're driving so slow. So we're very picky, wishy-washy, with that stuff.
Yes, we are. I'll admit to that.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I think it's a good example of how once you have information, you're kind of being irresponsible if you don't use it. Let's just pick something super controversial, right? Just because,
why not?
It'll ruffle some people's feathers. No matter what you believe about vaccines, if you let's say you're against vaccines. Let's say you're against vaccines. If you're against vaccines and then you speak to a doctor let's say you speak to a doctor, you get information about how a vaccine works, right? Because as far as you were concerned, it was, some, pie in the sky, magic pill, nonsense, whatever. But then you understand like the mechanism of action, right? And how this stuff actually works. Now you have information. Now you have knowledge. I think it's irresponsible of you to have that knowledge and then say, well, it's still just, whatever they're trying to, implant, whatever into us to do whatever. I'm not even going to throw out like conspiracy theories or whatever. And mind you, I'm somebody who didn't get vaccinated for a long time. I wasn't trying to get vaccinated until the FDA gave approval. And then the FDA gave approval and then I got vaccinated because I like facts, I like science and all that other stuff. And, pardon me if this is kind of, going left, but I think it's something that we can all kind of understand because we know people that are for vaccines. We know people that are against vaccines. And I think what you do with the information is the most important part. And I will say this to the credit of people who are against vaccines. They have a lot of information. I don't know if it's right information, but they do have a lot of information. And again, no matter what side you're on, I think once you have the knowledge, it's kind of irresponsible for you to not apply that knowledge. And it should inform the way that you move. For better or for worse, I think the best thing you can do is get information. Now, of course, you should have information that's even, you know what I'm saying, like on both sides. So that way you have both sides of the equation and you can move accordingly. But, you know, get info. And the last thing I'll say, because I'm sucking up all the oxygen, the last thing I'll say has to do with media. You know, I'm very cognizant of the fact that what I put in to my body, meaning through my eyes and my ears, what I watch on YouTube, what I listen to on podcasts, what I watch on TV, what my kid watches. I mean, I've always been pretty cognizant about what I take in, but I'm definitely even more cognizant about what's going on in our household now that I have a child, because they suck up everything and, you know, and they just spit it back out to you. And I mean, like so quickly too. You're like, oh, they're little, they're not gonna. No. They hear everything, they see everything, and they can say it back to you. We don't use profanity in our household, right? So like, if my kid were to come home and blurt out a curse word one day, I know that it's something that she consumed that was outside of this household. You know, I can't control what the kids say at school, right? But I can control what she's consuming here. And that's obviously just half the battle because she still needs to go to school. You know, I think they have laws against anyway, but it's important for me to make sure that if I'm going to be a good example to my child, when I say good, I mean the example that I want to be. You could be however you want to be with your kids. But for me to set the example that I want, I need to make sure that I'm not taking in things that are not edifying to me, because whatever I put into me is going to come right back out to her. You know, we were going to watch Abbott Elementary last night, the TV show, which is hilarious, by the way. And oh man, it's an amazing show. Abbott Elementary is absolutely fantastic, but it does have some adult themes and things that we don't want her to be exposed to right now. We don't want her consuming that. And we're mindful of that. And the show came on and we started to watch the first couple of minutes and I said, you know what? We may want to take it in and we may be able to deal, you know what I'm saying, with the subject matter that's on that show, but we don't want our daughter, you know what I'm saying, like to have to deal with that, you know? It may be language or it could be, you know, like themes or whatever, but whatever it is, you have to make a decision about what you're going to take in, because it will come back out. It will manifest itself in your thoughts and your actions.
I like that. But that's where we're coming to the point of, you know, your body's your temple. Be careful what you consume because it will come out. I'm happy you went into a personal aspect of it. So before we hit record, we were talking about construction for a sec. Fenton was asking me questions about sheetrock.
Yeah.
So fortunate for me, I had my father definitely taught me a lot about carpentry, and I'm 42 now. So about 30 years of carpentry I've been consuming between my dad, my uncles, grandfather, and other people I've worked with. But I'm able to give that knowledge back to, again, Fenton asked the question. I was able to let him know this is what you need to do to fix a patch. That's just one aspect. I'm in sales right now, so I have to be careful what I consume and what I give back to my sales team. All right, these are the steps. I think we did this in a previous episode. I was showing the steps of a sale. Again, what I throw back at them, they're consuming to say, all right, we're going to trust what you're saying. So how Fenton was just brought up with media, we're supposed to trust what media is saying, but question everything. I tell my guys and gals all the time, when I explain something to them or show them something new, I actually tell them, question everything I just taught you. Go and see another aspect of it. Ask someone else in the business, another professional, to see what lines up and what doesn't line up. And then you're going to have to come to a conclusion on your own.
But, I mean, come back to that.
Yeah. So don't just take what you're given. This comes to what you eat as well. Fenton brought it up before. So yes, it's fine to have steak once in a while. See, myself right here to the audience, I have gout. I developed gout about 2 years ago. I have to be careful. I have to truly be smiling. I really have to be careful what I actually put into my body now. When it comes to red meat, when it comes to pork, when it comes to anything high in sugar, I do take medication for it, but I have to be very careful what I put in my body now, because if you don't know what gout is, please Google it. But it's when your blood forms crystals that feel like glass, and they form usually on your joints most of the time at the bottom of your foot. So picture every time you step, you're stepping on glass. Every step you take. That's what gout is.
Crazy. I'm sorry.
So yes, I have to be careful what I consume. Let me come back around. I have to be careful what I consume when it comes to what I eat, what I put in, what I ingest. But again, I did my own research. I didn't just take for, well, this is what gout is, Ken, to figure it out. No, I did my own research. I figured out what I had to do. I figured out how I had to change my eating habits, which actually in turns make me healthier. Right. So that's fine, but don't get it twisted. I love steak once in a while, which the doctor said I'm fine to have. Don't worry. Again, if you have gout out there, I feel for you. But that's just another thing. I know Fenton wants to turn back around before I keep going. Go ahead.
Well, Mr. Glass, that first of all, that sounds really bad, and I'm sorry that happened to you. But I'm happy that you're taking charge and being healthier. Sorry. Okay. You mentioned something that's like really, really, really powerful. Don't just take what's given to you as the gospel and just, okay, that's it. I heard it, I read it, and that's it, right? Question everything. Get the information for yourself. Look into it. It's like, oh, I heard this thing, I read this study, I heard on the news or whatever the case is. Like, okay, and then you just like blindly accept, like, and I give you an example, and I think this is a really good example because it's literally something where you are supposed to kind of blindly accept, right? Like, people know I'm a Christian. When it comes to my Christian faith, I don't go to church and sit in the pew and whatever the preacher says, that just is what it is, right? Like, that's a bad idea. I don't think, and I'm saying this as a Christian, I don't think that's a good idea. Excuse me. My former pastor used to say, don't just, listen to what I say. Go in the Bible and read it for yourself. You go. And that's why people a lot of times feel misled in all different aspects of their lives, because they listen to people who tell them something and then they don't go and verify it. They don't go and fact check it. They just blindly accept it for what it is when the information is there. If a person can stand up in front of you and tell you what's what, they got the information from somewhere. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, it wasn't a divine revelation. You know what I'm saying? They read it in a book. Go get the book. Why, like you said, Fenton, doing a sheetrock is not hard. Okay. You put a hole in the wall, go get some sheetrock. And I said, okay, it'll maybe take you a day or whatever. All right. I'm going to want to go on YouTube and watch videos about how to change sheetrock. I'm not just going to say, well, Ken said it's easy and it's take about a day or whatever, it is. And just, I go buy the sheetrock and I just start doing stuff and just, well, Ken said it should be easy and it's not. Well, it'd be easy if I got the information for myself, the same information that you had, right? I can go, my dad, when we were growing up, my dad did a lot of handy stuff. Okay. I remember him going to Home Depot and he came back with what seemed like a library of books. It seemed like a library. And he had all these books about how to fix everything. He's an electrician by trade. So, he knows how to do some stuff anyway. But he had like plumbing stuff and like the bathroom and the kitchen and this and that. And they had illustrations and different steps. And it was like, whoa, like this is crazy. And he had a bunch of tools. And that man went to work. And he changed the shower. I think we had a regular shower with the sliding, like, what do you call it? Curtain, a regular curtain. He installed a sliding door. We had a single vanity. He took that out. He put it in a double vanity. They did a bathroom downstairs. He did all this stuff. And it was like, whoa, like this guy just went and bought some books and now he's Bob Vila. Crazy. He's the black Bob Vila. And like, it was cool to see somebody who was determined to figure something out, go get the information and implement it.
Yes.
And so like, how could I possibly not grow up to think the way that I think when I saw, my father do that? And he did that with all aspects of his life, by the way. His whole thing was like, go get the information. He'd be like, and it was annoying. He'd be like, Dad, how do you spell such and such? Well, that's why I bought a dictionary. Go look it up. Dad, what's another word for such and such? There's a thesaurus right next to the dictionary. Go look it up. Dad, in history did such and that's why I bought encyclopedias. Go look it up. The man didn't want to tell you anything. He was like, go get the information for yourself. And it's no surprise, Ken, that I grew up to, be an entrepreneur, especially the type of work that I do with like web design and creative things. Like I like to go get information for myself and figure things out and do it on my own. I don't need anyone to tell me to do anything. Like I'm super self-motivated, and I credit him and my mother, who was an entrepreneur as well. She figured stuff out. It was like, all right, I want to start this business. I don't know anything about this, but she would go get the information and boom, she would execute, and I think that's, you don't have to be an entrepreneur, right? To have that same mindset. I was watching a video about coding, this really popular coder on YouTube. And he was like, if I were going to code again from scratch, learn how to code again from scratch, he's like, I'm not sure if I would have went to college for it. He said, it's a harder route, but the information is out there and you can go and get it. And then you can execute on it. But you have to have the right mindset. And the thing that he called it a coder's mindset. He said, develop a coder's mindset. And the coder's mindset means I know that there's a problem and I have absolute belief in myself that I can find the solution to that problem if I just keep digging. Some people, he said, your parents, you'll be like IT support for your parents, right? I'm sure a lot of younger people can relate to that. Ken, can you, look this thing up for me online? I get calls from my parents, all the time. Mind you, my parents are super tech savvy and very innovative.
Just buy them an Alexa.
Right? I don't mind being, I'm Fenton. I need Fenton to find this stuff for me. And it's the best, by the way. I absolutely love it when they call me. Mm-hmm. But even for people who are savvy, what the coder was saying was like, they have the same Google that you have. It might be belief. You have to have a belief. I'm going to go on Google and I'm going to figure out what the appropriate query string is to get the search results that I need to get that information. Some people don't want to go on Google because they're not confident that they'll find what they need. It's not because Google doesn't have the information. That's not the issue. It's because they're not sure they can input the appropriate question to get the information, because the information is there.
It's all there.
It's all there. I checked all of it. It's all there.
I go to page 7. I'm one of those people.
That's the long tail. That's the long tail of search results. Most people want to go to the first page and they're looking at the top 3. And that's why the top 3 get the majority of the clicks. But there's a long tail of information, and you'd be amazed at what you can find on page 7, 8, 9, 10, 20.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You also might be a little weirded out, but there's there's information there. I believe that I can do anything, that I can solve any problem because I am insanely persistent. And I think that when it comes to being mindful of what you consume, part of that is having a willingness to go the extra mile, you know what I mean? To get information for yourself and not just deal with that first level, that first layer of the onion. It's like, I got this information. Let's peel back some layers and dive deeper and deeper into the information and get what you really need, truly understand. Some of us just want to get information so that we can spit it back out, just regurgitate it. And that you can only do that with the basic information. You can do that with the cliff notes. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Read the book. Don't rely on the cliff notes. Social media is going to give you the cliff notes. TikTok, they're going to give you the cliff notes, man. Read the book for yourself.
I like that right there.
Well, that's what the teleprompter said, Ken.
That's going to be a clip.
I don't know who writes this stuff.
Who writes this stuff?
Yeah, go deep, man. And as they say, if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough. And the only way to understand something well is to take that deep dive. I mean, for crying out loud, man, all right, I'll say this last thing and then I'll shut up. I'm somebody who does a couple different things in life. I do web design. I make music. I podcast. I'm involved in like you didn't know. I'm involved in nonprofits. I have way too much stuff going on. I have a lot of stuff going on, and it's weird, but it's 100% a result of my thirst for knowledge. I get excited about stuff, and I'm like, I just start consuming, and it's hard for me to say no to different things because I like to take a deep dive, and I don't do anything that I do on like a perfunctory kind of level. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really good at everything that I do. I'm not bragging. I'm saying it because it's my nature to explore. I want to consume more information because I don't want to be like this, person that has a conversation about something. And it's like, oh, well, I need to defer to, Ken because I don't really know enough about that. I don't like being in that type of situation. It's not because I'm a know-it-all. It's just I don't feel comfortable speaking about things if I'm not like an expert at it. Okay. And so like if you, start getting into fitness and you're like, oh, like I need to be more mindful of what I consume and I want to exercise, so I'm gonna get like protein supplements, right? It's like, don't just ask your buddy like what protein supplements, like he or she takes and just go buy that and it's like, oh, it's good enough. Go understand what are the ingredients that are being used, right? Read the labels and go a level deeper. Read the label, but then go and find those ingredients and Google them and find out what they are and what they do and how they impact your body and how they interact with one another and what, like health organizations say about the impacts of them, positive and negative. Do some research on timing for taking the supplements. What are best practices? So you take them in the morning, in the night, whatever. Like, are there different types to take at different times of the day? How do these things interact with the food that you're eating?
I was just about to say that, yeah.
And then, figure out, okay, well, what's the proper dosage? And, and are there phases? Okay, like as you're starting out in your health journey and fitness journey, should you be taking one type of supplement? And then as you go deeper into it, maybe switch to something else or supplement your supplement. Like there's so much stuff. You can go so deep down the rabbit hole. Don't just consume the first thing that you're given and just leave it at that. I could keep going on with a million examples, so I'm not going to, but peel back that onion, man.
Yeah, which a lot of people do not. Like you just said, everyone just wants the immediate gratification of, look, I learned something new. You didn't really learn something new. You were told something and you ran with it instead of doing your own research first so that you can actually learn. Like I'll just stay with your topic for 1 sec. Different body types. So because your friend's supplement works for them or that gym regimen works for them does not mean it's going to work for your body type, which is a real thing, which my wife was actually teaching me a few years back with, hot and cold body types and what you should be eating or drinking, or even when it came down to supplements, like you brought up. So you do have to do the research. You do have to dig. You do have to go down that rabbit hole and really embrace it. Again, just being careful what you consume because, again, it's your temple. We keep going back to it's your temple.
Yeah.
So what you put in, you will get out. If you eat a bunch of fast food every day, you'll be sluggish. Right. If you start eating your fruits and vegetables, you're going to have some energy.
Right.
All right. But again, even when it comes to education, so we'll go back to the beginning when you were talking about news. Yeah. Look, I'm not a fan of the news in general. I don't care what side it's on.
Me neither.
Because it's one-sided depending on what channel, what station, whatever belief you have. That's what you're going to, well, look, see, they agree with me. Well, yeah, because that's the channel you're watching or so of course they're going to agree with your with your thought process.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want. Yeah. You want everything's okay because the people on that screen right there are saying the same thing. No, stop. Right. You have to dig it. You have to go down. You have to do your research. You have to open a book or nowadays Google, like you just said. Right. And really go to page 10 and see what another expert is saying, not the expert they put on TV. All right. But if you don't do this, you're just going to stay stagnant. And that's not healthy in itself.
Somebody needs help. So check this out. you brought up echo chambers, right? That's where you're hearing what it's confirmation bias, right? Like you're hearing, feedback that supports what you already think. And we gravitate to that because there's no friction there, right? If you go to, like, let's say you're Isabella, daddy's talking. Let's say you watch a certain news channel that says one thing, conservative, liberal, whatever. When you start watching the other news channel, like in your spirit, you're not going to feel good because you're going to be like, those are ideas and opinions and beliefs that don't resonate with me. I don't like that. So you're going to start to push back against that. And the same thing applies in like anything in life. Okay. If somebody says, I think Italian food's the best, and you're like, no, I love Chinese food the best. You're going to disagree. You want to hang out with people that love Italian food, not the people that love the Chinese food. You're going to hang out with people that love the Yankees, not the people that love the Mets, and so forth and so on.
But you do know Spanish food and West Indian food is the best, right?
It's basically the same thing. I'm trying to figure out why this kid's volume just shot up like 1,000%. Hey, Isabella. So you're watching other channels that don't agree with you. You're having conversations with people that don't agree with you. It doesn't make you feel good in your spirit. There's a visceral response when people have opposing opinions. What I think is one of the best things that we can do is to get into more of those conversations, listen to more of those opinions, because what it's going to do is it's going to start to wear down the intensity, reduce the intensity of that visceral response. When you're like really committed to an idea and you first hear an opposing idea or opinion, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you think that way, and over time, as you hear more of those opposing opinions, you're like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but you're not changing my mind. Oh, that's cool. But have you considered, you know what I'm saying? Like you can start to become civil again and have conversations. And I really think it has to do with what's going on inside of you. I don't think people have knee-jerk responses to these things just because. I think really inside of them, they really don't feel good about hearing opposing views. And so for me, I try to take in as many possible perspectives as I can so that I can empathize, and also so that I reduce the intensity of that reaction inside of me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I wish people would do that more, because then you can navigate life so much more smoothly. When you're not comfortable with other people's opinions, life is like a really, rough ocean. You know what I'm saying? And you're constantly being tossed about because, maybe you're like every wave just hits you hard. Every opinion is a wave and it just smashes you up. So you got to be anchored, man. You got to be secure in what you feel, but also, you got to be like water. You know what I'm saying? Like Bruce Lee, if you're in the water, then the waves aren't really going to impact you. You got to be able to just go with the flow. All right. I hear you. I hear you over here. I hear you over there. It's cool. I can take it all. I'm a major proponent of that, and it's made my life a lot easier because I'm the type of person that used to feel the need to correct everybody. I used to feel the need to, listen, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, taught me a lot about myself. That book was a bit of a mirror, for me, and showed me a lot of the ways that I rub people the wrong. I still rub people the wrong way today, but a lot of the ways that I rub people the wrong way. And I was righteous about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I was self-righteous about it. I thought I was, so smart that I had to, correct people, and tell everybody, what I think about stuff. In my affirmations today, I have affirmations that I read every morning. And one of them is, I do not need to correct people. Another one is, I don't know everything.
Right.
And I'm a lifelong learner, and that changes my perspective on how I consume, because you can't always control what you consume.
Right.
I don't know what people are going to tell me today. I go out on the street, I have a conversation, people are going to share their ideas. They're going to share their thoughts. I'm consuming that. I can't unhear it. I don't, don't talk to me about it. Like, hey, you're having a conversation. People are going to share their thoughts and opinions, man. It's cool. But don't be so thrown off by it. I'm telling you, Ken, some people, they hear something and it's just like, oh, I can't believe you would say that. And it's like, is all of that necessary? Are you really that upset by the words that somebody else uttered? And I'm not talking about, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, somebody rolled past you on the street and call you the N-word or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, or, you know, somebody, you know, meets a member of the LGBTQIA community and somebody's like, you know, drops the F word or something like that. I'm not talking about that. These are there's actually a really great special on NPR about slurs and the physiological impact that they have on us. You can get that if you need to.
Nah.
The physiological impact that slurs and curse words have on us. Like, there is a reason, it's scientific, why our bodies respond the way that they do. And thus we respond in kind. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an opinion. I'm talking about a perspective. It's crazy that you can get into an argument with somebody over a sports team, over LeBron versus Jordan.
I don't get it.
It's crazy that you would let yourself be so caught up. You know what I'm saying? That you could emotionally, that you have a physiological response to that. That's crazy town. Now, and everything's in jest, right? Like, you know, like you and I could go back and forth about like something, I don't know, like a 9/11 year, this one over that year, something crazy like that. But there's a deep-seated respect that we have for one another. And
yes.
it's only going to go so far because it's all in fun. It's not important. It's not, who cares? It's not real.
Right.
But I'm telling you, that's not the case for some people. And they really need to practice putting themselves in those situations where they have uncomfortable conversations so that they freaking learn how to deal with them, because people are super soft.
There we go. That was the word I was waiting for.
People are so soft.
I didn't want to interrupt, but you finally said it. Just say it. They're soft.
So soft. People are so soft. And it's funny. It's funny. You're soft because you're rigid. You're soft because you're rigid. If you were less rigid in your thinking, you wouldn't be so touchy. You wouldn't be so, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you're smooth and you can go with the flow in your thinking, in your mind, then there's no sharp edges, you know what I'm saying? Like, for people to touch, because you cut people with those sharp edges because you're so rigid. You gotta smooth it out, man.
That's a nice wrap up. That's a beautiful wrap up right there. I like that. Damn, I teleprompter.
Yours is working. Yours is on. Wrap it up, my friend.
Fenton. So no, that was amazing right there, man. I don't need to wrap it up. You just did, and I'm happy you did. No, you went a good role. I didn't want to interrupt you. It was a nice role. I loved it.
Appreciate you.
Namaste.
That's why we're friends. Because I was going to say that. I promise I was going to say it. Next time I'll just say it. I was going to be like, namaste.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. We are so connected.
Yeah, man.
So connected.
Dude, products of circumstance.
Listen, audience, thank you again for tuning in. This is Products of Circumstance. It's a fun ride every time we get to do this, by the way. We do appreciate you listening, tuning in, subscribing. I know I get a lot of feedback from people in comments and truly appreciate you all. I know Fenton does as well. But thank you. Absolutely thank you from my heart. Thank you from my heart. Yes.
From the bottom of my heart. We'll catch y'all next week. Share, please, if you got something out of this, share it with somebody who's rigid, needs to open their mind, smooth out the walls of their mind. All right, hit that notification bell. We'll be back next week with another episode. That's it.
Ciao.
Peace.